16 Pros and Cons of Living in Indiana. Indiana is located in a unique part of the country. That is probably why someone has wanted to occupy it since the 1600s. Just south are landlocked states, but Indiana has the distinct pleasure of sharing a border with Lake Michigan. Of course, that is among many miles of river and other lakes. If you can get past shoveling your driveway and being immersed in having to go out of your way to find fun things to do, Indiana might be for you. Let's take a deeper look at what makes this state one of a kind in the best and worst ways. Pros of living in Indiana. 1. Cost of living. One great benefit of living in the Hoosier State is how much it costs to be a citizen. Unlike some of our neighbors, pretty much all of Indiana is affordable. Even the capital, where most places become too far from a normal budget to consider, is sustainable. The land is also more budget-friendly. We have a lot of lands that are not taken up by housing development that you could start your own small farm on even. 2. Four seasons. No, not the hotel. We're talking about getting to experience actual seasons. There are several states where summers or winters overstay their welcome. Indiana is a place where you get the best from all four seasons. No need to travel to a cabin in Canada to experience snowy winters or the Caribbean for warm summers. For someone from one of these other extreme states, this weather pattern is a breath of fresh air. 3. Low crime. Perhaps it is due to all those wide open fields of sustenance, there are not a lot of violent crimes. Indiana is quite lucky to keep people happy enough that they are not prowling the streets to do others harm. At least that is the hope. Having the lower crime rate is something to be proud of. It is also definitely something many consider when it comes to family planning. No one is afraid to have children here. 4. Higher education. Who needs to go to the coast to get an elite education? Indiana is home to Purdue University, one of the top schools in the country. While it is not Ivy League, Purdue is a Tier 1 school and has a comparable education to the likes of Harvard or Princeton. On a similar level is the University of Notre Dame, which has been around for going on 200 years. Notre Dame is also number 1 for fellowships from the National Endowment for the Humanities. 5. College and professional sports. It would be weird to mention Notre Dame without somewhere saying something about their impressive college football. There are so many fans, many of whom did not even attend the university. The Fighting Irish are one of the most popular teams in all the college sports. There are also 2 professional teams that have a strong following. The Indianapolis Colts and Indiana Pacers keep both football and basketball fans happy all season. Oh, and the Indy 500. 6. Making a living. The unemployment rate is about half the national average. That is because Indiana is part of the Rust Belt, meaning it is a manufacturing gold mine. We produce more steel than anywhere else in the country and come in second place in the number of automobiles that are put together here. Those are just 2 of the industries that Indiana has its foot in, that keeps workers in high demand. 7. Outdoor activities. It is not all just cornfields. There are 24,000 miles of river to enjoy in the state and over 900 lakes, including Lake Michigan. On dry land, there are 3 national parks and 24 state parks. Also, due to the healthy span of each season, there are sports you can play all year long. There is no part of the year that there is not something going on outside, even if that means it is happening in the snow. 8. Traffic. In most other states, this would definitely be a con. However, it seems that Indiana has discovered a little bit of magic when it comes to decongesting the highways. The state is number 2 for driver satisfaction. It is pretty surprising that even in the capital city, the traffic is relatively light. So, if you are coming from a heavy traffic or construction zone, you will be able to appreciate the freedom of the roads. Cons of living in Indiana. 1. Not a lot to do. Unfortunately, entertainment is not in abundance. Most natives, if they are being honest, would tell you a sad tale of the boring things they do as kids in the summer to pass the time. Thank goodness for the internet. At least there is always something to stream, even if there are not a ton of events to attend. To be fair, it may be better to be bored than to get in trouble. At least that is the idea. 2. Drug use. It is great to look at crime rates and be happy with a few violent crimes. What is not good, though, is the amount of crime that is related to drug use. Because there is not a whole lot to keep the population entertained, that often turns people down avenues they might not have considered otherwise. If you are looking for opportunities to dig into a community, you could help create programs that might curb these statistics. 3. Lack of diversity. Back in 1673, Indiana was settled by the French when they established a trading post within the border. Indiana has been pretty European ever since. The current ethnic breakdown of those who call Indiana home is 89% European American, 9% African American, 1% Asian American, and the Native Americans share a percent Native Alaskans. If you are hoping to have variety in your friend group, look for interests instead. 4. Political climate. With a lack of diversity often comes a lack of religious variety. 3/4 of Indianians attend services based on Christianity. That also seems to go hand in hand with the number of conservative voters in the state. That sort of outlook on life bleeds over to other types of after-hours entertainment, such as bars. In most places, you cannot buy any alcohol on Sunday or any at all, if you even locate a liquor store. 5. Public transportation. Maybe it is due to the strange way the population is spread across the state, but the transport system could use an upgrade. Indianapolis has one of the lowest ridership numbers in the country. You might be thinking that it must be a good sign for the economy because people are driving. In actuality, almost 1/4 of the population in the capital is below the poverty line. By all accounts, they should be taking the rides more often, but are not. A lot of the reason is that the stops and routes are just massively inconvenient. 6. Flat plains. There are so many lakes and rivers, but not a whole lot in the way of great scenery. Most of Indiana could be characterized as quite flat, without things such as forests to get lost in or mountains to climb. In order to see anything like that, you will have to travel out of state. It can be a big pain to not have more things to enjoy without the hassle of driving. 7. Air quality. Having so much industry does well for job seekers in the region. What it does not do well for is the air. The pollution infiltrating the air around Indiana is some of the worst in the nation. There are currently no efforts being made to reduce pollution or create green energy. So, progress is quite slow. 8. Food selection. It should not be surprising that there is not much variety in the meal department of Indiana. That probably cannot be helped, since there is not really much variety of people in the first place. If you are coming from a more diverse population, it is likely you will miss being able to have a completely different delicious food item every night. The real investment in the state would be to offer perks for people from unique walks of life to move there and set up shop.